Welcome to the Joy Work Show, the podcast that goes beyond the surface of business, right to the heart, to explore the real joy and the real stories behind success. Not just the moments of celebration, but the challenges that paved the way for them. Hiya, I'm Diane. And today is another special one, because as we celebrate 1 year of the Joy Work Show, we're bringing back some of the guests whose stories resonated deeply, shifted perspectives, and stayed with us long after the episode ended. The most liked, shared, and downloaded. And today I'm joined once again by Jenna Holloway. If you listen to Jenna's first episode, you'll remember her honesty, her intuition-led approach, and her commitment to helping women and business owners free themselves from their deepest internal limits. And since then, her life and her business have evolved in powerful, intentional ways. In this conversation, we explore why Jenna has returned to her roots in intuitive mentorship, the courage it takes to prioritise your own well-being, the surprise opportunities Jenna manifested simply by trusting herself and the process, how clients are finding her organically without pushing and forcing, the grounding role her nervous system work has played, and how joy has become the non-negotiable thread running through every single decision that she makes. This is a conversation about alignment, about standards, about self-trust, and about what becomes possible when you're willing to choose the life that actually feels like yours. But as always, it's so much better to hear from the guests themselves, even second time round. So let's go. Hi, Jenna. I am so thrilled to welcome you back on the Joy Work Show and joining me for the birthday month of the podcast launching. So firstly, thank you so much for coming back as one of our most loved guests.
Yay! Oh, it's so nice to be here. Thank you so much, Diane. And happy birthday to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. I cannot believe it's been a year. I literally cannot believe it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit more about, we got to know you last time. For people who haven't listened to Jenna's episode, it was episode 33. It was named Trust Yourself, Building an Aligned Business with Jenna. And I think that pretty much sums up what we learn on that episode about what your business is, how you work with clients, and a lot about your beliefs and your intuition. So let's start with, what has changed for you and your business since we last spoke?
Did you say it was March we recorded?
March. Well, it came
Yeah.
out in March, so we probably record.
So my concept and my relationship with time, I no longer make myself wrong for this, but I'm not very good at remembering dates and things like that. So I have no idea exactly where I was in my business, but I know something that I've let go of, which I feel like it was probably after we recorded, is something that I, in hindsight, picked up from a place of lack. So what's changed is I have returned back to just doing what is my gift, and that's the intuitive mentorship. For a time, I picked up supporting business owners with their messaging because I could see where they were giving their power away, or where I could see where they weren't owning how good they were, or how they weren't being authentic. I could see like limiting beliefs showing up in messaging. And so I, for a time, supported clients with that. And it was exciting for a while until I realized I was not feeling excited. Like if, there was some messaging support, like reviewing content on my to-do list. And if I wasn't excited, as soon as I noticed I wasn't excited, I was like, shit, this has got to go. And I made the changes pretty quick, as I always do, and then realized, with the power of hindsight, that actually came into being from a place of a lack of belief in the power of the work that I do on its own. So
Yeah.
I think that shift happened after we were on the podcast. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing. I did have a group program as well that I've let go of since, and I'm just working with one-to-one clients now.
Lovely. That's such a difference from what we hear. like in the online space. So everyone's trying to move away from one-to-one and you've moved towards it. Is
Mm.
that obviously everything you do is intentional? So I take it that was an intentional shift for you.
Yeah, it was a hard one, actually. My ego was in the way for a long time. So here's the thing. I know that my group space, I can't say it is anymore because it's no longer a thing, but I know that my group space was amazing. And when I had a group in there, people always talked about how incredible it was to be seen and held in a group space and to be mentored alongside people that were experiencing similar things to them. You know, they had the community and the mentorship from me. So it was always amazing to experience and to mentor in and to experience from clients. I always got nothing but great feedback about how safe the space was and all the things. But it was hard to market because of the type of work that I do, right? Very often, not very often, but there was a barrier that held people back from wanting to enter a group space for various reasons, whether they've been in group spaces before and felt a little bit lost, whether they didn't trust themselves to be able to show up fully in group spaces, whatever it was, there was resistance to people feeling safe enough and trusting themselves enough to join a group space with me. So yeah, I kind of, how did it come about? I was splitting my energy basically trying to market my group program and my one-to-one. And eventually I just decided we're just going to go for one-to-one. And the group space doesn't need to quote unquote die. Like it could
Yeah.
still be there,
Yeah.
but I'm taking it out of the front end of my business and everybody has to work with me one-to-one first in order to have access to that. And so it's come from that place. Like my ego was saying the whole time, like, no, your spaces are different, Jenna. Like when people get in, they realize how great it is and yada, yada, yada. But I had to kind of see that I was trying to push something that wasn't desired, like, shall we say. So yeah,
Yeah.
feels good.
Yeah. It's always a difficult decision to make, I think, especially if it's something that you enjoy doing. It's not from that thing of, like you said, when you're doing the content, it wasn't exciting you anymore. You were getting like looking at a list and thinking, why is that on my calendar today? So, and the people that are in it are loving it, but if it becomes a chore to market, if it becomes, and because if you're not excited about it from a marketing perspective, how can anybody else be excited about it? I think that's a really difficult, and you see it in the online space a lot when people are just like, you can see and you're like, you're not backing this 100%.
Yeah.
Or even if it is from I know it's a wonderful space, but I can't translate it to the average person who's watching me on social media, and that's the only outlet I have right now. They're not getting it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it wasn't I wasn't excited to promote it.
Yeah.
I was just being met with resistance over and over again. Like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
looking for a group space. It's like eventually I heard it.
Yeah. Yeah. So how has your priorities shifted? Have your priorities shifted a lot this year? And if so, how?
Yes, that's such a good question. Think I have always put myself, my life, my balance, all of that first because embodiment and integrity is like a non-negotiable for me. Like I can never be one of those people who says one thing but behind closed doors is doing another. It doesn't feel good to me. And I Yeah, so I've always been able to put myself before my business, and that's exactly the kind of thing that I help my clients do, you know, if they're business owners. But it's definitely gone up a level because in the past I'd be putting myself first and living my life, like going to my dance classes and all of that. But I would still be like making sure that I show it as much as possible. And we've gone one step further now in the sense that I don't really show it. because it feels like performance. It feels,
Mhm.
unless I feel inspired to post something to my stories or create a post, I just don't. Um, and part of me still sometimes thinks, are you shooting yourself in the foot here? Like, are you leaving money on the table? Because you are the embodiment of what you do. And if you're not showing that, how are people going to know it? But I still trust that if I'm showing up from a place of proving I am what I say I am,
Mhm.
then it's still action taken from that.
Mhm.
And so I will not do it. I get to trust that the right people will always find me.
Mhm.
And whether that means me showing up less, but landing like podcast opportunities, or yeah, just I get to trust that everyone that's meant for me will still find me, even when I'm not showing up and
Mhm.
proving that I am doing everything I'm saying I'm doing, right? I
Uh-huh.
get to trust that all of that's going to happen. And with me being on this podcast is an absolute manifestation of that. I set an intention that I wanted to speak more and get on more podcasts. And like literally within 24, 48 hours, I got the email from you out of the
Yeah.
blue saying, I want you to come back on the podcast.
Well, that was it was completely out 'cause I didn't speak to anybody. I hadn't even shared on social media that this was my plan to invite people back for the kind of anniversary month. And as we discussed beforehand, went with the data, but also I knew that it needed to kind of feel good to me. And when I
Mm,
went with the data, I went with the kind of most loved episodes, and yours was there. So it was completely out of the blue that could
yeah,
have happened. And probably when you first set the intention, I might have started to look at the data, but as soon as I had my 4, I sent the email. So
yeah.
yeah, you
And just
can.
goes to show, like, I see this kind of thing all the time. Like, energy is so powerful. And
Mhm.
when we get out of this perceived driver's seat that we think we need to be in and just give it over to the universe, like just having this vision in our mind, whatever we choose, whatever we desire, it's meant for us. And it's not on us to question how,
Mhm.
it's just on us to decide what do we want, say yes to
Mhm.
it, and then
Yeah.
create space. It's not on us to chase our dreams, it's only on us to make it welcome. And so that's what I'm practicing more of. And I think showing up less on social media is a big part of that. Another thing of like, so yeah, I'm not on stories anywhere near as much. Yeah, I'm still really fully living my life. The other thing is I'm not really creating content as consistently as I used to because it literally doesn't feel fun, right? I'm just doing things that feel fun. And to me, it's coaching. So I record all my coaching calls just from the side. And if I feel inspired to take a short clip from a call, that's what I'll put out. And unless you can hear something that my client's saying, like I've got their express permission to show that. But otherwise, it's literally just a clip of
What you're
me,
saying. Yeah.
yeah, saying something that I feel my heart tells me this will resonate to someone. And so I
Mhm.
just put that out.
Mhm.
So yeah, basically, yeah, just get on with it. I just get on with it. I
Yeah.
live my life and enjoy.
So if somebody's listening to this and they're thinking, right, Jenna has a successful business. She's obviously working with clients. How does finding those clients look for you at the moment then, if you're not actively partaking in the usual funnels,
Yeah,
for want of a better word?
yeah. It is such a good question because Um, it is such a nuanced conversation, isn't it? Like I remember recently I celebrated getting a new client and I put it out on threads and I also put it on my stories that I'm just celebrating the fact that clients are showing up, quote unquote, out of thin air, but it is a very nuanced conversation. So it's thanks for asking that because I don't want to I don't want people to read into what I'm saying without like it's important that we have this part of the conversation. So, how am I getting clients? Okay, to be fully transparent, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, most of the clients that I've signed since I so basically took all of August off, right? I
Yeah.
decided I'm
Yeah.
tired of actively showing up day in, day out, trying to grow my business, I'm just going to take August off and play. And I already had all of our childcare set up over the summer. So we're really lucky. We've got grandparents that live nearby and they want to spend time with our girls.
Yeah.
Same with my husband, Tom. Like, he takes every Friday off in the summer. And I did coach myself through this because there was feelings of guilt for me
Yep.
having
Yep.
a work day, but then like, fuck, Tom is having a daddy daughter day for me to just sit at home and not actively grow my business. How
Yeah.
does that feel good? So I would
Yep.
wrestle with some of this and I coached myself through it all. But I committed to spending the whole of August serving my current clients, but then using the rest of the time to literally just live my life from a place of the only moment is now, right? So asking myself, what would I be doing if I was living my best life and like everything was all wonderful and I had this time to play, what would I do? And it led to things like baking and going to the library and being like literally intuitively led to a specific book with a specific message in and all of this stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to share this like sort of backstory of where this like not actively marketing my business came from. Came from August, taking the month
Yep.
off.
Yep.
And I even stopped recording my coaching calls. Like, I was doing them, but I just didn't feel inspired to record anything because I wasn't posting. So like, what's the point in recording
Yep.
them? And then towards the end of August, I just, something hit me like, record this, Jenna. And it wasn't a particularly like special conversation or anything. It was right before the call. I heard the voice, record this. And after the coaching call, I just felt inspired to post a clip again. And then things fired up again from then. So I started posting content and just coaching clip content. Very, very sporadic emails to my mailing list, like literally like one every 3 weeks or something. And yeah, so it's just been that. And also I felt inspired to host a monthly group coaching call, completely free. And so I've been doing that for, I think, 3 months now. I've got another one tomorrow, which is, I think, our 4th month. And again, I've not promoted this on social media because I just don't feel excited to. I've just
Mhm.
reached out, one-to-one connection, one-to-one conversations with people, and I've had a lot of people on the calls, and that's been really nice because I've got that group coaching experience that
Yep.
I no longer have from having my group coaching program. What was the question? How am I signing clients? Okay, so yeah, since I've shifted things, most of my clients have been returning clients. Referrals, but they've literally come out of the blue. Some of
Yeah.
them I haven't spoken to for like 18 months, random email. Hi, Jenna, can we start work again? I'm like, wow. Honestly, it feels like magic. It's incredible.
Mhm.
So yeah, for somebody, I can't remember your exact question. It was like for somebody who's listening to this,
Yeah, it was
how,
just if somebody's listening to this, if they're listening saying, "Well, that's all sounds great, but how are you attracting clients?" Which
yeah,
you've
yes.
answered the question.
Yeah, yeah. So I do obviously or I have a following already on social
Yeah.
media. And I think I have got I don't know how to explain it, but like everything I've done from building up momentum and all the hard work I've put in the past serves me when I go in, when I'm like, for example, spreading word on this group coaching call that I'm holding that's for free. People have jumped at the chance because they know that like that's an opportunity for them. I'm not some randomer reaching out. Like,
Yeah.
I think stuff that I've done in the past is serving me basically.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's important, and I think, it's a very nuanced conversation because you're not just starting out. Like,
yeah,
you didn't just decide in August, "This is how I'm starting my business, and I'm not gonna be on social media that much."
yeah,
You have done the work,
yeah,
compounded, and some would say you've now got the fruits of your labor because of that. So that will be a huge part of it, and the fact that your audience does trust you.
yeah,
And so when you do reach out, it's not some stranger jumping into their inbox, it's somebody they've watched and seen grow. And so it's that compounding factor, which is so important. And what I love about you saying that you're doing your workshops, and obviously I have been to one of your workshops, is that you're holding that space for people. And I think that if anybody's going to look at their sales plan, marketing, content, if you want to call it that, in 2026, I think you need to kind of look at experiences and what you can bring people together for, whether it's online or I think offline is going to become quite a thing, because I think even more people are going to want to see each other for want of a better word, but be in the space with the energy. But obviously sometimes, particularly for me, online space works because of the way my life's set up right now.
Yeah.
But I think those workshops that you're doing for free, people get to know you, they get to see what it's about, they get to see if it works for them, and it's creating that experience.
Yeah.
It goes beyond the you will get this is how I work, it's literally, and then people can decide, oh, I do want to take that further, or oh, I'm just going to stay in our free spaces for now. But you don't know, like you said, that sometimes it can come out of nowhere when but it's creating this, and it's much more than a Facebook group or just somewhere to hold. It's not a holding pen, somewhere for people to experience the person,
Yeah.
each other,
Yeah.
and build something that's a little bit different. And I think on social media, that's going to be important as well. It's not the way the broadcast channels work and things like that. People are having huge successes with them because it's people in a space towards a common goal, whether
Yeah.
that's saving money on their toilet paper or, how to do meditation. It doesn't really matter. There's groups, there's broadcast channels for everything. But it's that common goal that people are in and they feel part of something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's no surprise to me that the workshops are probably working fabulously
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. And something else I'd like to add is like the power of not doing stuff from pressure, just leaning into what feels exciting for you and to like completely switch off from the noise, the external noise, right? You just get to trust your of inner guidance. That's everything that I teach, but it's so important because I didn't put pressure on myself to email my list, and I joked about it earlier, but literally in the last sort of 48 hours, I have been hit with some inspiration, and like it feels like a fire has been lit, and I now have like, I don't know if you can see this, but like this whole plan of stuff that I just want to pour into my email list as a way of serving. And like I've got hundreds of people on my list, and some of them I have no idea who they are. And so yes, I've pulled back from social media, but I haven't put pressure on myself to like force myself to email my list. And now, because I've not put that pressure on, inspiration has hit. And when you don't put pressure on yourself to do anything, you create space for something that is really aligned to land when it's ready to land. And that's like, okay, a surfer really committed to surfing. So he's going to go out in the sea, even though there's no waves at all. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh myself, I've got to be consistent. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to wait for a wave. And okay, so the surfer is out there for like 4 hours before the first wave hits. There's another surfer in the same town that enjoyed a lie-in, that met up with their friend, that was around to drop their kids to school. And then what hit with a nudge, grab your surfboard, go. Let's out into the sea. And like the first wave is this magical, like amazing wave. But the other guy that's been out there since 6 o'clock in the morning, he's got home because he's tired and pissed off and frustrated. He missed that wave.
Yeah.
So it's just like don't pressure you. Like there's so much noise about consistency and all of that. And yes, that is a conversation to be had, but the actual conversation is about the identity needed rather than the surface level action. If I'm consistent, you end up burning out if the right foundations aren't there. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does make sense. It makes complete sense. And obviously, somebody coming from a more traditional business background, it still makes sense to me. And the reason why it still makes sense to me is because I will hark on about consistency with my clients consistently. But the most important thing about it is it has to be consistent for them and it has to work for them. If you force that consistency. If you look at somebody online and they're incredibly successful in whichever way you want to be successful, maybe not just monetary, but you look at their life and think, I want that life, that's what I want. And you try and emulate exactly what they do, that won't work for you because you don't have their exact life and you don't
Yes.
even know what their exact life looks like because you're not in their house with
Yes.
them. So
Exactly.
you have to think about what that consistency looks like to you, and it is creating that space. Now, you're brilliant at creating lots of space, and for some people that might bring them out in hives and have them having like a small panic attack of how much space you might create for yourself. But what people can take from that is that I don't need to do it like Jenna, but
Mm.
I can still create that space, because creating that space will give you time to be creative. If you want to be traditional business strategy, will give you time to look at your business. Will give you time to look at your figures and your data. I said for booking these podcast episodes, I looked at my data. I needed space to do that. I couldn't be pressurizing myself and putting myself under, oh, I need to do it by this amount of time. I need to do it by this amount of time. There was a slight panic in me that was like, oh, Diane, you need to get these recorded because you want them going out in December. But like you said, so one of the changes for me this year is trusting that as long as I get it out there, as long as I am talking and putting myself in the road of opportunity and being open to it, it will happen. So I wasn't like, oh, because there was one day I was like, I really need to get that out today, and it never happened for whatever reason. But I was like, but I'm not panicking because these 4 people will be the right 4 people. And lo and behold, it went out 24 or 48 hours later, and the right 4 people are booked in to
Yeah.
get these celebration episodes done. And it's having that trust. So
Yeah.
whether you are brilliant at it and working with intention and that's your whole ethos like you, or whether you're somebody that is on the hamster wheel, can't see the wood for the trees, you can create. It can be small. It's where you can start from. And you can only be consistent when you know what you're consistent with and what's
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
And not just, well, they said to me I needed to post every day, so I need to keep posting every day. Because if you're posting every day, that's something that doesn't sound like you, doesn't look like you, isn't in alignment, it's not going to give you the results that you want to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
100%.
so
It's better
yeah,
to. It's better
focus
to.
then.
Sorry.
On you go.
I was just going to say like I think having an awareness around what it looks like to outsource your power is so important, because if you don't know when you're outsourcing your power, you're doing it all day long, and you just end up not trusting yourself. And we're literally conditioned to not trust ourselves, right, from growing up. So you have to kind of do this work to realize how powerful your inner guidance is and learn what it looks like to not outsource your power. So that means spotting where you are doing something because you've been told that that's the right way to do it, rather than trusting yourself that actually, no, the right way to do it is the way that is going to come through you. But you literally cannot hear that if you're constantly looking outside of yourself for
Mhm.
quote unquote the right way. So, yeah, I think one of the most important skills as a business owner, if not the most, and not just for business, like for life, to
Mhm.
learn to trust yourself, because that affects everything, like literally everything.
It does affect everything because it affects your belief. It affects your ability to back yourself. It affects your ability to drown out the noise. And there's lots of conversations that I've had particularly over these last 4 days, that people are talking about the noise in the online space and how to do business. And they feel that, the way that they want to do it is not the right way, and they're not a business owner if they don't do it this way or that way. And I think there's fundamentals. Of course, I'm a business strategist, so I think there's fundamentals to business, but they're fundamentals that you can learn to do your way. But if you don't have the trust, the belief, the ability to work on your mindset, the ability to go through and I suppose do the work, you if you wake up this morning and you don't feel like it, what do you do? Do you give in, or, do you have a toolbox that you've got that can teach you how you get through that day? And I think it's that 80% mindset, 20% strategy thing that,
Real.
if you can have the best strategy in the world, but without the mindset, you're
Yeah.
done. If you have the mindset and no strategy, that person's more likely to be successful. And I
Yeah.
think it's really important for people to realize that.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed.
Marvelous. Okay, so when you think about the last year, let's talk a little bit about joy, because it's one thing that I probably don't, in the podcast called The Joy Work Show, when we're talking about people's stories, it doesn't always necessarily come up. So has joy guided your decisions or your leadership this year?
100%.
Well, I knew what the answer that you were going to give, but I just wanted to kind of at least ask the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to know how?
No, you just is how important do you think joy is, like from a tangible point of view? Like, obviously, I talk about joy being defiant and brave and not necessarily pretty,
Mm.
the way people would probably presume. So, how important do you think joy is when you are running a business, making decisions, and indeed trusting yourself?
For me, I think it's everything because to explain, my business wouldn't look what it looks like if I didn't follow my heart, which is connected to joy, right? So I left teaching and I trained as a hypnotherapist and I did it the way I was taught to do it. I qualified and yeah, was doing it the way I was taught to do it. But very quickly, I just found myself like going off script in hypnosis and like just didn't realize it at the time, but like channeling and like just doing it the way I wanted to do it. And then over time, ended up coaching more and realized don't feel excited to do the hypnosis part, so I won't. I'll just do more coaching. And then yeah, like it's just evolved to what it is today, where 99.9% of the time that I spend with clients is just coaching whatever wants to come through me. And of course, of course, my training in all of my training does have a part of it. Like I use stuff I know about the brain and all of that. That's obviously still matters. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today without that training. But the way I coach my clients is what it is. And everything about my business today is what it is because I chose joy. I didn't tell myself a story that I can't move away from what I've been taught. Right? Like, and it matters so much because it means that I love my business. Like, I feel like the luckiest woman alive because I'm not doing anything that I don't find fun. If I'm working, I'm doing something that I feel inspired to do. And if I don't feel inspired, I get curious about why that is. And I go for a walk or I meditate or I dance. I go and distract my husband who's working downstairs for a bit. Like, I don't settle for not feeling joy or not feeling good. Like, obviously, again, it's a nuance. Like, there's nuance to every conversation. There are days where, like, I'm hormonal or really tired, and those days I will lean into rest. I'm not fired up all the time, and I don't try or pretend to be because we're not machines. But
Mhm.
I have this freedom and flexibility and joy in my business because I chose that. I literally decided not to settle for anything less than that. I don't force myself to do anything. And I know that that will probably like create some feelings amongst listeners. And like, I can see it in people's faces. Like when, if I'm chatting to mums at the school gate and they find out how much I dance, like I can feel like the hairs go up on the back of their neck. Like, don't you feel like this ridiculous mum guilt for being out the house like 2 or 3 nights a week? And I'm like, we're all living in our own version of reality,
Yeah.
influenced by the different patterns and programs that are running in our brain. So they can think whatever they want, but it's on every single person to stay in a position of empowerment and noticing why they feel certain things and getting curious about that. And actually like have the freedom that I have in my life and I see it as a good thing because I'm modeling to my kids that you get to have hobbies as an adult, right? Like that you get to have a space for everything that you want, that you don't have to sacrifice.
Mhm.
So yeah, I went off on a little bit of a tangent, but
No,
following your question.
no, it makes complete sense because I think it falls into that category for me that joy is brave, and I don't think people are often honest enough with themselves of what would actually bring them joy and the impact that has on everybody around them. So for you, of course your children bring them joy. Of course they're one of the major reasons you're building the life that you're building, but so is your dancing. And
Mm,
that makes you a better human, a better mum, a better parent, a better spouse. I mean, and it's that thing of being, I suppose it goes back to that trusting yourself and backing yourself and knowing yourself enough to say, but that is what's going to make me happy, fulfilled, satisfied, and that makes me better for everybody. And
yeah.
indeed, teaching your children that they can have the life that they choose to have and things like that. Because I know one thing I will need to change is I don't really have hobbies. My children would probably say my hobby is a hot bath, but then maybe I suppose the teaching that's like, what does mummy do?
Wow.
It's sent off to a hot bath. But that is something that brings me joy. It helps my rubbish body. You know, there's so much in that for me that's really important in my life. Right, right. It is so important to send those messages, and I think that the mums at the school gate, it's when they don't feel that they can because they feel that they have to live in that mummy mold of
Mm,
what a mum looks like and what a mum does and what a mum sacrifices, and that's part of your role. And of course, we all sacrifice. As parents, we sacrifice every single day, but that doesn't mean we need to be sacrificing 24 hours a day. I
yeah.
think that's quite important, important to say. But as you say, there'll be people listening to this that will be feeling very uncomfortable. They'll be feeling very seen, or maybe not seen, or called out, maybe. And maybe they want, so obviously you have gone through the uncomfortableness.
Mm,
You haven't, I think it's, tell us a little bit about that, 'cause I think it's important for people to realize that you don't just get up, make a decision, and that's it.
mm,
It's that constant. So what has that looked like for you? Even not just after this year, but what has it looked like for you over the years,
mm.
kind of dealing
Such a
with
good,
the confrontation of it, I suppose?
yeah, it's such a good question. And I think I don't know where it comes from. I feel like the journey I went on to get my girls has, well, that changed me massively, changed me as a person, opened me up to all the stuff that I now like teach and embody. Like, well, I learned so much of that from when I was in a really hard mental place. Oh, I so want to share. I've got a book coming. I don't know when it's coming, but it landed like in the past. It's completely off tangent, but I'm
It's
so excited.
okay,
I just
go
want to share it.
tangent.
In the last sort of like 60 days, this book has just landed on my heart, and it's like nothing to do with my
Amazing.
business at all. But it is so like looking back, all the dots make sense, and it's gonna come through me when the time is right. Can't remember what your question was. It's like, okay, how did I get to this place?
Yeah, so going through because obviously I said people will be feeling confronted perhaps with talking the way that we have. So it's that nuance of that you have gone through the
Yeah,
work,
yeah,
the uncomfortableness, sat with it.
yeah. It's living what I say time and time again to my clients, and that is get comfortable with being uncomfortable because our brains and our nervous systems are programmed and wired for safety.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we grow up as little sponges. Most of our parents didn't do healing work on themselves. So we absorbed their trauma and their grandparents' trauma and all of that. And then we, as adults, become spiritually awakened, or however you want to say it, and become aware of all of this work that we get to do on ourselves. Often once we become parents ourselves and we realize that we're triggered and we want to try and do it a different way, yeah, there's this whole world that kind of opens up to you when you realize I'm not who I am, I'm who I became.
Mhm.
and that there's actually all of these layers to peel back. And another word for layers is limiting beliefs, patterns and programs, ways of being, ways of thinking, ways of feeling that are literally just programs that have been installed into our unconscious minds and into our nervous systems that no longer need to be there.
Mhm.
Yeah, they kept us safe at one point. For example, we learned to be the good girl or the peacemaker at home, yeah? Or we learned to take care of others because that's how we receive love, right?
Mhm.
We all learned ways of being growing up that made our nervous systems stay safe. A
Mhm.
way of getting love, a way of getting seen. And all of this is fine. But then you get to adulthood and you realize it's showing up in ways for you that aren't serving you anymore. Like, for example, if you're trying to run a business and you know you need to get visible, but why can't you press record? Or why, when you press record, do you suddenly start feeling and sounding like a robot? Why can't you just be yourself in certain rooms? And on all of these things, you start to feel like uncomfortable. And it's because your nervous system and your brain is like waving these massive red flags, signaling danger.
Mhm.
Because you are trying to better your life, or you're trying to follow a purpose, or you're trying to bring to life this vision board thing you see in your mind's eye that you feel on your heart is meant for you, but your brain and your nervous system are not on board. So they are flying red flags, trying to pull you back, trying to hold you back, triggering you so that you stay small and stay safe and continue to wear this mask because your nervous system has learned that you only stay safe when you wear this mask, whatever that looks like, right? So the work to do is to peel these layers off by learning and teaching your nervous system that it is safe to have what you want, whether that is financial abundance or a healthy body, or I said financial abundance, deeper relationships,
Mhm.
safe to be authentically you. Some people don't even know what that means. And that's okay. Like, it's not on us to judge wherever we are at the moment that you're listening to this. Don't judge. That's not going to serve anything. Just meet yourself with so much love and compassion right where you are and realize, right, this is day one. For the
Mhm.
rest of my life, I get to make different choices. And every single moment is a new opportunity to see something in a different light and to make a different choice. Yeah, because what's going on in our nervous system is a series of, I'll describe it like a thermostat, right? I
Mhm.
might have said this in the first episode, I'm not sure. But it's in relation to how much joy we can experience, or financial abundance, or anything, love, peace, connection, and all of it, right? The nervous system has learned what is safe to us. Yeah. And when we go outside of that, something fires up to bring us back. Yeah. So if we talk, for example, in financial, like in the context of financial, some people, their nervous systems are wired for debt because it feels
Mhm.
safer to be in debt than to not be in debt because that's what they've learned is normal, quote unquote, normal in their nervous system. So the work to do there is to repattern the nervous system for abundance so that you can hold the money when it comes in. Otherwise, the money will come in and you'll spend it straight away, right? Because your nervous system doesn't feel safe to hold it. Same for like, uh, yeah, if silence doesn't feel safe in your nervous system, you always have the radio on. Or like you'll feel awkward if you're with a friend and there's nothing to say, and you're like, you'll get worried about meeting the friend because what if I run out of things to say? And you just like body goes into fight or flight the minute there's silence, right? Like when you understand that there are like thermostats in our nervous system, and you get to look at, okay, what is my thermostat for joy, for example, or whatever, you get to change it.
Mhm.
Yeah, because if we've got for example, with joy, if our thermostat or what's deemed safe in our nervous system is more chaos than joy, then we sabotage, we unconsciously sabotage our joy. And then if things feel a little bit great, we'll start an argument with our partner for
Mhm.
literally no reason whatsoever. But actually, there is a reason. It's because the nervous system is like, hang on a second, too much joy, too much joy. Life's getting too good here, right? And it's why, if you financially, for example, if you have a big month, and then the car goes bust, or you need a new dishwasher, and like literally the bills fly in because it's not programmed in your nervous system. Financial overflow doesn't feel safe.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, knowledge is power. Knowing all of this is really, really powerful, but knowledge is not the only thing you need. You need to know it. You need to be self-aware, but more than that, you need a commitment to integrate the knowledge.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's where I come in. I help people um integrate concepts that they know but can't embody
Yeah.
so that they can have the joy, the peace, the financial abundance, all the things that they want.
I think that's really important, and I think one of the things that stands out at any time I speak to you, not just in this conversation, is that the ability to question. Because I don't think a lot of people listening to this and elsewhere would say something terrible happens today, and the reaction to it, they won't be like, okay, so what does that mean? What can I do about it? How do I feel? Really even simple things like, how do I feel about it? What impact is this going to have? And how can it's that thing of bad things don't happen. It's just your reaction to it type
Yeah. Yeah.
feeling. And it's that ability to question. And I don't mean awful, tragic things in your life. I mean a client not paying, losing a client, your doubt showing up when you thought it was going to be the offer of the century and it flopped. That's the type of things I'm talking about.
Mm,
Because obviously tragedy comes in life and
yeah.
that's a whole different ballgame. But if you have these tools, you'll still be very much more equipped
Hmm.
to help
Yeah.
yourself and those around you in those terrible situations too. But it's that ability to question.
Yeah.
And it's
Why
that
is this
ability to question
for
of,
me?
yes,
Mm,
why do I feel like this? What does that mean? What could that look like? But again, it comes back to this space and having the space in your day to have the ability to question. Because if you're rushing from one thing to the next without even a thought of if you've got matching shoes on, then you've not got the space to take that beat, to take that breath.
yeah.
And I think it's those two things that when we talk and different things come up, it's the two things that I go back to of, well, if I'm going to take some of this and what am I going to learn from it today that could help my tomorrow or my next hour after we finish recording this podcast episode is when the next things happen, what is it trying to tell me? And sometimes it won't even change your actions. You might decide you're still going to go ahead with the offer. You might decide you're still going to do the thing, but you've got more awareness about it.
It's
And
the
it doesn't,
energy.
yeah,
It's
and it doesn't
the
have
energy that
power.
can shift. Yeah. You can take the same action with a completely different energy, and it totally changes the outcome. Right. And it's the whole comes back full circle to the social media thing. Like, I do not post now unless I feel inspired. And that might mean like I don't post for 6 days, but that's totally fine because I get to trust that the people that are meant for me are going to find me. And so
Hmm.
I get to manifest other opportunities. I get out of the way, basically. The universe can do its thing. I don't need to control it.
Hmm.
So yeah, very, very much agree with what you said about questioning. Like when
Yeah.
something
Well, it's the one
happens,
thing that comes up for me every time. It's that ability to question, and it's probably not my first reaction. I can be a spiraler. I am a very emotive person in all walks of life. So my first reaction sometimes can just be, this is happening to me. Spiral, 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 spiral. And sometimes it's okay for me to do that because I'll get out of it and then maybe I'm ready to question. But it's that teaching myself that maybe just take the space, make a cup of tea, sit down and have a little chat with myself before
yeah,
the spiral. And then if I feel I still need a spiral, then hey, well, we might still we might still go with that. But I think the energy thing's really, really important. And somebody who's from a sales background, and if anyone is listening to this and thinking, how can I help my sales? The energy by which you sell yourself and your products is, and what came up for me then was that thing of the energy of, look, I'm going, you can come with me if you want, and that is one of the greatest sales techniques, energies that goes back years.
Mm,
Like we're going back to the old 80s salesman type things, but if we're going to learn anything from those people who did it, not necessarily amazingly well at times, but who did it and gave us those foundations, it's that energy that they had. And
confidence.
customers, it was the confidence. I'm going anyway. You can come with me. If it's not you, it'll be somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's that, but it goes back to the belief, backing yourself, backing your
Mm.
products, your offers, and giving yourself space to do it.
Mhm. Yeah. 100%.
Amazing. Okay. Well, as you know, in the traditional format, I ask three joy questions of everybody that comes on. We've changed it up slightly for these celebratory episodes. So the first joy question is something that you've found joy in this year that you didn't expect.
Oh, I hope you're gonna edit out this massive silence to think, because I was already dancing. Something that I've enjoyed. There's lots of little things. Like I did cross stitch for a while, knitting, making soups. I just lean into whatever inspires me in the moment. What do me and my daughter? Puzzles. Me and my daughter, one of my daughters loves puzzles, so we do puzzles all the time. Actually, I think I'm gonna say the school run because from September, I started walking to pick my girls up. Tom does drop off in the morning and I always do pick up. But last year I got lazy and I just drove halfway. There's just absolutely no reason to do that at all. And so I do now if it's chucking it down, but that's only been one day since September. And I've really enjoyed it. Like the 20 minutes walking there by myself, either listening to music or yeah, most of the time listening to music. And then the 20-minute scoot back is just the highlight of my day. It's just
Hmm.
so great. And I've really enjoyed that.
It was one of the things that somebody said to me. Our eldest started school in September, and it's our first kind of getting into the whole school thing. And we have a school, literally, we leave the house at 8:45 to get her. The classroom door opens at 9:50. That's how close we are. But it wasn't my first choice school. We never get into our first choice school, but I would have had to have drove to our first choice, and we could have walked on a really, really good spring summer's day, but you had to would have been guaranteed, like, not even a little bit of cold. It's just a bit far for little 4.5-year-old legs. So we would had to have, and somebody said to me in the day, and I wasn't overly concerned, two very good schools, so wasn't overly concerned. And I remember the day, and it was actually one of my clients, and she said, "Oh, what school did you get?" And I said, "Oh, we got our second place." And she said, "That's the one just behind you, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, yeah. So we'll be walking to school." I mean, you couldn't drive to it. It's, people park near us
Yeah.
from the people that drive. And she said, "It's going to become your most precious time of day." I mean,
Mm,
she said, maybe not the drop off, because the drop off is just like, have a good day, what you having for lunch, chat, chat, chat. She went, but when you pick them up, and I know it's just a short walk, so you might sometimes wish it's a little bit longer. She went, but just that moment of walking back,
mm,
because they will have conversations with you in that walk back that you
yeah.
wouldn't get in the car.
Yeah.
And it kind of stood out to me. And now that I'm in it, I am so pleased that
Yeah.
we are, because I see the parents driving, rushing,
Yeah.
panicking, stuck. And maybe sometimes it's not even been their fault. Maybe they have created the space, but there's been a traffic jam or there's been
Yeah.
something on their way to school. And it's just a completely different energy
Mm,
that I get to do that. And we've also been lucky enough that Ashley's been around, that he does the nursery run in the morning. So I'm not then having to go into a different
yeah.
direction. And it just makes the biggest difference to the day.
Yeah.
But if that changes and I need to also do the nursery run, it'll still just be that walk, and making sure. And it does become a really special time of the day. And even last night, when it was absolutely chucking it down and it was dark and it was horrible, we both just got our hoods up. I take a torch for her
No.
because it's dark. We take a torch. And again, it was just a really lovely another walk. And it is a really, really special time of the day. So that is probably one of my unexpected joys. Because if somebody said to me at the start of the year, "The school run's gonna be one of your joys," I'd have been like, "Really? The school run? Are you sure?" But
Yeah.
it is.
I love
But
picking
it is.
them.
It is. Okay, the second one is a person, practice, or principle that's helped you protect your joy.
My husband, he makes me laugh so much every single day. And he yeah, he makes the girls laugh. The girls have got a really great sense of humor because they just watch him all the time. And he protects my joy, by being very attuned to me. And then, like, we've been married. I don't know how long we've been married. 12 years, a long time. But it's only really in the past, I'd say, 2 years that he's really got attuned to my cycle. I don't know if seeing reels on Instagram of like husbands have validated his experience or whatever. I don't know, but he's so much better attuned to me. And like when he can tell I need space, he'll give, give me space or, and yeah, I would say he's added joy by making me laugh all the time, but also definitely protected my joy by being attuned. Yeah, and I'm just so grateful for the husband I have and how close and connected we are after all this time. So yeah.
I think one of the things that stood out about your relationship, we've just discussed a little bit there, and we discussed it in the previous episode because we discussed your IVF journey and things like that, was that you both, or what it seems to be, is that you both have each other's backs
Mm,
and that you're very much a team when, and you build, because the decisions that yous have made about your life, it would be quite difficult to make those decisions without being a team.
yeah.
And it's something that I didn't realize was really important to me before I met my partner. And even when things are tough, because let's face it, all relationships go through their tough moments. But even when things are tough, I'm like, as long as we're a team,
Mm,
we will get through this. The time that we'll be in trouble is the time that we stop
yeah.
being that team. And I think that has really came across to me, that you guys, well, as I say, the decisions you've had to make when you left teaching and made decisions about his work and your work and the girls. And there's just been lots of times that lots of people would be like, are they mad? That they're making these decisions, but yous have done it together.
Yeah.
And I think people don't realize, if they don't have a supportive partner, that they don't realize the magic that it can be and how transformative it can be when you're going through tough times, when you have health knocks, when you're building a business, when you're making tough life decisions.
Yeah.
And there's not many times I will say I'm lucky in terms of, because I think you make your own luck. But in fact, I said it on a podcast earlier today, the two ways I'm really lucky: the partner I've got and the children I have.
Mm, yeah.
And I also better say my dog that's snoring down there as well. I'm very lucky that
No.
he's very much part of our team too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know what it is to have somebody that protects your joy and understands your joy. Because I think the amount of times that I come home and say, right, this is now what we're doing, he's just like, right, okay, how do we do it? Let's go. My mum's like, are you putting him through something else again? I'm like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Okay, the last one is, either both or one, what are you leaving behind or what are you carrying for 2026?
What am I leaving behind? Or what am I carrying forwards? Carrying forwards. Please edit this out.
It's all right.
What am I leaving behind? Standards. Standards is my answer. So what I'm carrying forwards, yeah, something that I picked up on fairly recently, I'd say the last sort of 2 months, is this concept of standards. And it's like, so it's an awareness of what your standard is on so many different things, right? So it could be what my porch looks like. Well, okay, well, we fairly recently we got a new car, and I right from the get go, I was like, guys, new rule, everything out every time. Yeah, I don't want this new car to be filled with crap like the last one.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have this rule, everything out every single time. So that's an example of a standard for the car, and just different standards in life. Like, okay, so it could be standards around your morning routine or standards around what you're available for in your house. Like my kitchen side, I don't want clutter on it. And sometimes there's going to be clutter, but I have an awareness that it's below my standard. So I'm not trying to be perfect, but I am having this sort of this visible line in the sand for lots of different areas of my life of what my standards are. Another one this morning. I I reached out to somebody in my local area about writing a book, and I actually moved a friend, a meeting that I had set up with a friend. I moved it to fit in with this person. They said that they were free today at 10 o'clock. And then, anyway, the last message said from me, shall we meet at this time in this place? And I didn't hear back. A message first thing this morning said, are we still on for today? And I didn't hear back. And it's like, okay, an hour before we're supposed to be meeting, I messaged him on a different, on WhatsApp. And I just said, are we still meeting? Kind of thing. And I get a reply, so sorry. It's been so manic. I've got back from holiday 2 days ago. Can you fit me in this time? And I just noticed how that landed in my body.
Yeah.
And I haven't replied yet because I don't want to reply from a reactive place. But I was frustrated that I moved my friend to fit in with him, knowing that this isn't random, right? Like this
Yep.
is a pattern I've spotted with this person. So number one, I was frustrated that I moved my friend, and I actually voice noted her and apologized and said, this happened. And I was like, I questioned it. I was like, I think that the only way I'm going to get my book published is if I have this meeting with this person. I was like, no,
No.
absolutely not. So am I available for meeting and rescheduling? And I haven't actually answered that question yet because I haven't replied and I haven't decided, but I don't think I am.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I want to put that message out to the universe, but I'm okay with being messed around like that. I mean, it's like on the face of it, seems like such a minor conversation. Like, what are you getting all up in your arms about it, Jenna? But everything, every decision, every choice has an energy. And it's about my standards. It's coming back to
Yes.
what we're talking about here, my standards. Am I available for somebody treating me that way? I don't think I am. So I get to choose. I get to make an empowered choice. I can be loving. I can be respectful. I don't have to wish ill on anybody at all.
No.
But I get to choose where I'm spending my energy. And that's an example of the awareness around standards. And it gets to give you a gauge and so much more clarity over your decisions. That's what I'm taking forwards to next year.
I do. I love that because I think it is, we so often will bend and mold to others and what they need
Mm.
and and like you said, it could have been very easily. But the thing is, I had that person messaged you this morning early doors and said, look, I'm really sorry. Since I got back from holiday, I've got a calendar clash. Can we, rearrange? You'd probably been like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
problem, because it's that, but it's the reaching out and reaching out again.
Yeah.
And I think it is. It's a way you treat people, and you will treat people the way you want to be treated, and that's now not how you would do it and how you want to be treated. So I think that is standards. But I love the one about the car because our car drives me insane. And I
Yeah.
always say, please, can we just take everything out? And my partner knows when I'm like, where are the girls' wellies? And he's like, I'll get them, which means I left them in the car after the
Yeah.
last walk,
Yeah.
which means they're probably still wet and dirty, which means we probably then can't go on the walk that we want to go on. And I'm like, can we just? So I'm going to make them listen to this podcast even before it comes out. And that's what but it's those things and it's those standards and it's those things that then actually make your life easier.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like the kitchen side, it's a 5-minute tidy up makes
Yeah.
tomorrow a lot better
Yeah.
than
all of the energy leaks.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's that not having the chaos in your
Mm.
mind and we're back to creating the space.
Circle.
Full circle right back. So if people want to come and find you, Jenna, where do they come and find you?
They come and find me on my Instagram, Jenna Holloway. Oh, well, no, it's not. It's I am Jenna Holloway. And my mailing list. We talked about that earlier, and I've got those plans. So, yeah, for a daily dose of what's on my heart, sign up to my mailing list. That can be done via the link in my bio on Instagram.
very much. All the notes, all the links will be in the show notes, so you can just go and click there and join Jenna. If you want to know more, you will not be disappointed. Even if she doesn't show up on social media that often, you will not be disappointed when she does.
There's a lot there. For.
So at the end of the usual podcast, I ask what your joy legacy is, and has yours changed?
I can't remember what I said before, but probably not. It's like you can live your best life every single day and you get more of what you are. So stop wanting and stop waiting for more abundance to come in, whatever that looks like, whether that's financial abundance or love or whatever. Stop waiting for more to come in and focus on what's there now, because you're training your brain to spot more of it, and what you focus on expands. So notice what you're focusing on and notice how that's creating the reality it is, and get yourself back into a position of empowerment so that you can change what needs to be changed.
Amazing.
So something like that.
It probably was. It probably was. Thank you so much for joining me again on the Joy Work Show. It was as much fun as last time.
Thank you for having me, Diane. I loved it.
It's always an exciting conversation with Jenna, but more importantly, it's always beautiful and expansive. There's something so powerful about hearing someone a year later. Not just what has changed externally, but who they have become internally. And I think that's why this conversation with Jenna was so important. As always, here are my 3 takeaways that I want you to hold on to from Jenna's journey. Firstly, that self-trust creates momentum. When you honor your intuition, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's icky, even when it's scary, that life and business meet you halfway. They meet you there. You get what you need and what is right at that time. Number 2, that joy is a strategy, not a side note. Every decision Jenna makes now is filtered through, does this feel joyful? Does this feel aligned? And everything gets easier when that becomes your standard. And number 3, that your well-being shapes your success. You can't lead from depletion. You can't create from burnout. When Jenna prioritizes herself, everything else, clients, opportunities, income, clarity, flowed more naturally. And she's living a life that she absolutely wants to live every single day. Jenna, thank you for coming back and sharing the truth of what this year has held, the expansion, the discomfort, the trust, and of course, the joy. And to you listening, let Jenna's story be your reminder that you are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to come home to yourself, and you're allowed to make joy your legacy. Thank you for celebrating it with us as the Joy Work Show has turned 1. This is the last of the anniversary guest episodes. We are coming to the end of the year. I want to thank you so much if you have been here with me just today, or you have been here for the whole last year and a bit now. I really do appreciate everybody who listens, watches, shares, likes. Even if you've just watched or listened a little bit, it really does mean the world to me. I hope that you have learned and grown and enjoyed these conversations, and I can't wait to bring you more in 2026. If you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do. It takes you 2 seconds, pushing nothing, and all you need to do is click the wee alarm, subscribe, like, whatever button that you're watching from. It's really, really easy, promise you. But for now, I'm Diane. Happy New Year, and I'll see you in 2026.